When the pandemic was officially announced and the whole country was in a lockdown, we were thinking, how are we going to end the school year?
How can St. Peter's College of Armagh continue on with its mission to provide holistic quality education?
I was really grasping for answers and talking to experts, consulting to parents and all. It was really a terrible moment.
It also didn't help that the pandemic started in the middle of the academic year, and so we had to act fast.
Others have suggested that maybe we can temporarily close our school for a while, but some of us have this kind of hope that we can just carry on.
We want to bring our education in a different level, and we know that technology is the answer.
By using virtual platforms, we were able to continue this year with a partnership with Globe through Brightspace.
When we got to Brightspace, we were able to continue a consistent quality of education. And when that arrived, we were now able to have a stable class. We were able to submit activities freely and at our own pace.
It has really helped our teachers in order to deliver their modules, their content to our students.
The ease of sharing content, real-time assessment, and structured learning process in the system of Brightspace made the learning life of every member of our community exciting and better.
Through Brightspace, we were able to see that yes, we can restore some semblance of normal life with the aid of technology.
This pandemic brought a really huge change which pushed us to innovate.
One of the best investments you can make is Brightspace for you to use to deliver your quality education to your students.
Into the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and Tagpro's learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because Tagpros believes that education is a right all children deserve.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Jim Toscano, co-founder and chief program officer of Tagpro's Education, and welcome back to WellBeing for Teachers and Students in the Pandemic. This webinar series is presented by Tagpro's Children in partnership with Tagpro's Education, an up and coming online K-12 education marketplace where passion takes the lead in learning. Of course, with Globe Telecom, the country's leading telecommunications provider. This event is also made possible by the Department of Education International Cooperation Office under the leadership of Director Margarita Concepcion Ballesteros, Teacher Education Network Philippines under the management of Mr. Gino Luwayon, and the next series, a project of the Computer Education Department of Xavier School, under the leadership of Mrs. Jessica De Mejillo. Welcome back to the third part of our August webinar series. Last week, we had a very lively discussion about how we can help not just students, but also teachers be better digital citizens with Mrs. Jessica De Mejillo. And last week was a very interactive, very, very relevant discussion that we had. Of course, we would focus on the students, but at the same time, it was also great to hear the challenges that our fellow teachers or that our teachers in the country are also experiencing. So we hope for the same level, if not better, higher level of participation. At the same time, even candid and sincere thoughts and reflections or ideas that you have right now. So we are very excited. This is our third session, and of course, because this is our third session, we again are welcoming an expert on agency, an expert on grit, an expert on resilience, of course, an expert on education himself as our resource speaker for today. Before I introduce our resource speaker for today, Dr. Ferdinand Pitagan, we have a few reminders. A few again, and I apologize if I sound like a broken C. Sirang plaka na po ako. But a few reminders again, we've learned last week to become better digital citizens. We want our students to become better digital citizens, but we need to model to them what it means to be better digital citizens. So therefore, our reminder to everyone is to make sure that you keep and do not share your personal information in the comment section, and that includes your email or GCash account, especially because we again are going to have our weekly GCash prize raffle draw. So please make sure that you keep your information to yourself and that you just share those information through the evaluation at the end of the session. Let's also be respectful to one another in the comment section. We don't have to agree all the time together. You might have a different thought or different idea from our speaker or from ourselves or from your fellow participant, but it's also good to remind ourselves to be respectful of what we are sharing to one another. All right. So another reminder, we have this question. We have this question in our email or inboxes of our email. Again, thank you for registering for the webinar workshop early on, especially early this week. You know, the registration gives us a sense of how many people are attending, or who the people who will be attending, so that we can inform ahead of time our resource speakers so that they can tailor fit the content of their presentation. But unfortunately, we also want to clarify that registering itself is not a qualification or will not qualify you for an e-certificate. Parang nag-enroll ka lang sa klase pero hindi ka pumasok, so wala kang certificate, right? So we are all teachers, models of what it means to be better citizens. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, teachers, we're very professional. To get an A certificate, you need to make sure that you attend our webinar series, whether it's live or the 1 week rule of being part of team replay. And then, of course, answer our evaluation form. Our evaluation form also asks for your GCash number. Your GCash number there will qualify you to be part of our weekly raffle draw, of course, through our sponsor, Globe Telecom. We open the form after the session. And of course, you only have 1 week to answer it, or we close it on Friday, 11:59 p.m. next week. After that, no matter if you watch the webinar workshops or registered for it or whatever, you cannot answer the evaluation anymore. Again, we're just doing this for the sake of fairness, especially because every one of us here are really hardworking, working to be part of this this session. All right. You may also have to answer the evaluation form once to receive an e-certificate. If you have not received your certificate yet after answering the evaluation form, kindly wait for it in the following days. We hope that you understand and remember that we have a high volume of participants and attendees who are in need also of certificates. So we're doing first come, first served basis. So if you answered the evaluation immediately, then immediately you might have the certificate. If you have answered it late in the week, then you will have to wait also for a number of days for your e-certificate. All right. So before we meet our speaker and jump into the main part of our session for today, we're going first to announce our weekly raffle draw. I'll be announcing the 5 lucky winners of 500 peso GCash credit for the raffle draw for last week's webinar workshop. So let me just pull out the list. The name of our winners, the five lucky participants of during the August 14, 2021 webinar series, who each won 500 GCash raffle GCash credits. Vernelli B. Apusero, Corazon L. Bagay, Jennifer R. Junsay, Maria Elena L. Aquino, Daryl Love M. Montaño. Again, let me just read. Vernelli B. Apusero, Corazon L. Bagay, Jennifer R. Junsay, Maria Elena L. Aquino, and Derly Love M. Montaño. So congratulations if you know these people or you are one of those announced here. Congratulations. Please wait for your email. We are emailing the winners for verification because there are certain requirements to be part or to be clarified or verified for you to receive the GCash prize. Unfortunately, also we still have some winners who are not responding to their email, to our email to them. It's very unfortunate. We will not be sending the GCash credits to those winners if they have not replied to our verification email. May I also remind everyone to use verified GCash accounts. We have been experiencing some problems with regard to sending the GCash credit prize. One of the main reasons is that number one, the cell phone number that you have added is not actually registered with GCash, or second, it's not a verified account. So for us to be able to send it immediately or properly, please make sure that you have a verified or you add a verified GCash account. So again, if you want to be part of the lucky 5 winners for this webinar workshop today, August 21, which will be announced, whose winners will be announced next week, just follow the instruction shown on the screen. Number 1, watch the webinar workshops, complete the evaluation form at the end of each session, and follow Tagpro's social media pages. That's on Facebook and even our YouTube channel, official YouTube channel. All right. So again, watch the webinar workshop, whether live or 1 week for team replays. Complete the evaluation form at the end of the session, and follow Tagpro's Education social media pages. We will be announcing the 5 winners for this week webinar workshop sometime next week or on Saturday next week. We are live both on Facebook and YouTube here at Tagpro's Education, and of course over at our partner DEP and ICO's Facebook page. So invite your family and friends to the live stream so that they can also join the raffle. Only GCash account holders are allowed to participate, so don't forget to download the GCash app available at Google Play and Apple App Store, and create a GCash account today and make sure that it's verified. This raffle draw is made possible by none other than our partner and co-presenter, Globe Telecom, the country's leading telecommunications provider. All right, so I think we are now ready to proceed to the main part of our webinar workshop series right now. Our session for today is entitled Agency, Grit, and Resilience: Help Students Thrive in the Pandemic. And of course, we are honored to welcome Dr. Ferdinand Pitagan. He is the Dean of the School of Education at the National Teachers College. Dr. Pitagan is also a consultant specialist at UNESCO, leading the team of experts in the design of the framework, strategy, training, and budget of the Open Educational Resources, Universal Design for Learning Policy for Higher Educational Institutions in the Philippines. The Policy Inception Workshop last March 2019 was attended by top Philippine higher education institutions represented by university presidents, chancellors, directors, and teams. The project would conduct training, research, and other pertinent activities related to the project. And of course, if you search for his name, he has a lot of projects pertaining to digital learning, using technology in learning, not just in higher education, but even in K to 12. He has some projects, or he had some projects also with the Department of Education. And of course, we are so proud and we are honored to welcome Dr. Ferdinand Pitagan in our midst this Saturday to talk about our topic. So, welcome, Dr. Ferdy, Dr. Pitagan.
Hi, Jim. Welcome. Good afternoon, Jim. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And good afternoon to everyone.
All right. So, Dr. Pitagan, the floor is yours
Okay.
for our session.
Okay. Can I share my screen, please? Okay. So once again, we would like to thank all of you. We would like to express our deepest gratitude for taking time to attend our learning session for today. Isang mapagpalang hapon po sa inyong lahat. As Jim have said, my name is Ferdy Pitagan. I'm currently the consultant in IOER, which is the Inclusive Educational Resource at UNESCO Paris. We are now doing national policy adoption for the use of open educational resources. Ito yung DepEd Commons natin. No? I'm also involved in a project by RTI USAID who's now doing the DepEd Commons assessment, whether DepEd Commons really is effective and efficient in our continuation of education. I am also the Dean of the School of Teacher Education at the National Teachers College. So come visit our homepage. We have exciting programs. We have 14 programs in MAED and one in EDT for those teachers who would want to pursue their lifelong and life-wide learning. We are also some processes for efficiency and effectiveness, such as your recognition of prior learning. We are crediting your previous experiences, your previous job learnings into creditable units. If you want to know more about that, please visit us at the National Teachers College website. Ayan. For today, I would be talking about agency, grit, and resilience. So this is a perspective of an administrator and also as a teacher on how our students from K to 12 to university would thrive during the pandemic. Okay, so the Philippine School is the academic hub of the Philippines. This is where all of us would pursue education from womb to tomb nga, di ba? In the Philippines, it is also the cultural sphere. Say, for example, we have catered to multilingualism in our lower grades. We have also madrasa schools that would cater to our Muslim brothers and sisters. And in the community, you would find that the school is the one celebrating most of our cultural activities, Buwanang Wika, Fiesta, and what have you. And this is also the economic focus of most family. According to research, this is the top 3, number 3 siya sa pinaglalaanan ng pera ng pamilyang Pilipino. And of course, this is our social hub. Our friends now, most probably our lifelong friends now, or most probably our classmates from elementary and high school and even in university. Most of the social activities inside the community is done inside the school. And then suddenly, lo and behold, everything stopped. We cannot pursue higher learning. We cannot socialize face-to-face. There is no job available, so that there is difficulty on how the students would continue their learning because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. According to UNESCO, there are around 2 billion learners across the world affected by the pandemic since March 2019. And in the Philippines alone, around 28 million from K to higher education are affected. And most of these government and government agencies, especially the Department of Education and higher education across the world, has stopped digital, online, blended, hybrid, as well as traditional approaches on how we would continue education. Say, for example, in DepEd alone, there are several modes in which you would continue your education. May it be through modified online or printed module, or through the use of mass media communication or education through the use of television and radio. No? So others would have mobile devices. But all of these modalities have not taken into account how students would feel, how would they behave, and what would be their difficulties and challenges to continue their education. That is why in the recent research in the Philippines, using evidence to inform social policy in the Philippines in the time of the pandemic, ayan, they are very concerned that our students are really lagging behind and getting sick during the pandemic in the continuation of education. Their concerns are, some of them haven't been concerned, but their concerns are falling behind or getting sick, being safe, being disobedient, having enough to eat. And some of this has something to do with how we respond as educators, how we respond as parents, and consequently, how we respond at the national level on how these learning modalities will affect our children. In other areas of the world, the effects of pandemic in teen mental health is number one would be anxiety. And this is more evident in teen girls. 36% of them are experiencing anxiety. Next would be depression. Another one would be sleep issues, withdrawing from family, and aggressive behavior. Remember that we are social animals. We like to interact. And even if our students nowadays are millennials, Gen Z, and then X, and they are very much into digital technologies, research would show that withdrawal from in-class and face-to-face setting heightened mental and wellness issues. That is why it is very, very important for us as leaders, as teachers, and even as parents to really teach our students how to have that agency, that grit, and resilience. And grit is defined as the tendency to sustain interest and effort towards long-term goals, even if you struggle, you falter, or temporarily fail. Grit is that driving force that no matter what happened, we would continue to our goals. This is G for growth. It is how likely we are to seek fresh ideas, perspective inputs that will help us to succeed on whatever is that corresponding outcome or desired goal. Resiliency is about bouncing back from hardship, from challenges, from those adversities. And instinct is knowing what is the best way, what is the most effective way, what is the most efficient way on how we would achieve that desired goal. And tenacity is that perseverance. Never say die. Go lang, push lang in order for us to achieve our goal. And as parents and teachers, as I said, our goal is really to continue learning, not just education, but to continue learning, not just teaching, but to continue learning for our students. And resilience is defined as the process of adapting, adjusting in the face of adversity, trauma, and tragedy. These are, you have to have that vision on what is the sense of purpose, what is your goal and personal vision for yourself and for your student. Having clarity of that vision allow you to be very decisive in facing your choices and maintaining your focus in facing challenges. And congruency is, excuse me, congruency is having that calm self-control, regulate your behavior, not only in face of adversity or not only in face of very big challenges, but as well as in your day-to-day management of yourself. This is self-awareness. This is managing your stress. This is choosing your battles. And when we talk of reasoning, this is your problem solving, creative thinking, critical thinking on how you could put resources, on how you could put processes in order to solve your problem. And one of the most important factor of resilience is health. Ito nga, very, very detailed. No? Quality of sleep, good nutrition, regular exercise. Di ba? Ngayon, as teachers, we are 24/7 available. Do you still sleep? Pinapatay niyo pa ba ang phone niyo? Are you answering messages from students at the middle of the night? So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to promote self-love. And that is part of being resilient. And your tenacity, as I've mentioned, is your ability to bounce back. There is no big or small problems, only how you would treat it and how you would processes on how are you going to bounce back. And tenacity is having that realistic optimism. Alam nyo ba, according to research, those who are in grander optimism, those who are very, very heightened optimists, when they fail, they are the first one to withdraw. If you have a very grand, very, very grand plan, sometimes it is not viable or doable, but this is how optimist I am. They would be the first one to withdraw from the fight. So you have to have that realistic optimism of what you can do so that you would stay motivated. And of course, you have to have that collaborative, strong social relationship, building teams and teamwork among stakeholders, your support network. As I mentioned earlier, we are social animals. We are learning in groups. That's the advent of formal schooling. We always want to communicate, especially the Philippines. We are the fifth largest users of social media. That is how group-oriented we are. And we should foster that collaborative spirit among our groups. And then our next question is, how do we develop now resiliency and grit in our teenagers or across different levels of learners? The first one would be self-esteem. So how are you going to boost self-esteem? A learner's attitude about himself or herself is something that we could build on by noticing and complimenting not just their natural ability, but their behaviors like determination, effort, problem solving. So we really have to compliment them in order to boost their self-esteem. Sabi nga nung isang poet, praise is like sunlight and water to a flower. It will make it bloom beautifully. So don't forget to praise, compliment our children. Not only in terms of their cognitive abilities, but their values, their speech, their behavior. Do not shield our students in making mistakes. They have to learn how to cope up with frustration and challenges. Part of that agency is teaching our students that nobody is perfect. Everyone is destined to fail in one point or the other. Ibig sabihin noon, lahat magkakamali at a certain point in our lives. Hindi siya lang yung magkakamali and accept that mistake gracefully, beautifully, so that he or she could move on. Hindi po pwedeng pag nagkamali yung bata, papagalitan. Pag nagkamali yung bata, sisisihin yung bata. Because everyone is bound to make mistake at a certain point in his life. And so that our students could learn from that mistake, could learn from that challenge, could learn from that frustration. And as an educator, you could learn how to lend a perspective. Help your students to overcome disappointment by making a plan to ensure future success. By making a plan, looking at the failure and identifying what are the points of contention so that you would plan ahead to ensure success. Ayan. Also, you could help them by being cool-headed, no, for willing to overcome difficulties rather than avoiding them. You could tell them that they have to control their emotion as part of their coping mechanism. If they are emotionally challenged at that particular time, you could tell them to, read a book or take a walk or reflect on what has gone wrong. And then talk to them about that frustration. Kids should feel that they should be heard. Kids should not feel that they would be judged. There are misconceptions in resiliency of children. We are always saying, bata pa yan, kaya niya. Or our kids would easily bounce back from a very frustrating situation because they are kids. No, it doesn't necessarily feel that if they don't show their emotions, they are okay. Parents, nowadays, you would notice how our children would not communicate what they really feel. And of course, you have to have that quality relationship that would require them to connect with you and to a larger world at large. You could create mentoring situations or pairing your kids with others so that they would have that heightened social skills and the ability to ask assistance from others. To build social skills and encourage them to ask for help when they need it. And also, you have to offer kids choices. What are they going to do with their assignment, especially in collaborative teamwork, and how are they going to do it? Student agency research would tell us that if we're giving power to the students regarding their learning, there is a heightened learning at the end of that process. Online technologies has provided us in giving our students the power when, how, why, and what to learn. So in essence, we're giving them the agency to decide. And if we nurture it, that grit and resiliency, it would affect heightened learning. And also, please remember that your kids should, we will always think outside the box. But what I will say is, in problem-solving skills, you think that there is no box at all, or square, or circle. They should not be constricted by, what we think that they can do. They should be decide on how they should solve that particular problem. And of course, you have to set realistic goals. Diba? And those goals could be broken, into smaller bits and chunks. Say, for example, in DepEd, we are asked to compute the grades only in written works and in performance tasks. But that performance task could be broken into mini tasks across the quarter or even across the semester or the school year. It would depend on how you integrate those mini tasks into that performance standards. And this is also true in content standards. And this is something that I would want you to take. Encourage our kids to be in touch, to be connected with the school and the community, and as well as with their spiritual side, di ba? Whether it's meditation, yoga, going to church, worship. They tend to, according to research, people, including children who are in touch with their spiritual side, are more compassionate and resilient than those who are not. And of course, the ability to, manage their emotions, recognize their emotions and that of others. It is part of being resilient and gritty to have that openness of accepting others' opinion, others' behavior, and seeing where is your own emotions and behavior vis-a-vis what is happening. So we have to teach our kids to be respectful of others. And of course, that goal setting again with realistic expectations. As teachers, we are the one commissioned to set the learning objectives. Remember, in our curriculum guide, DepEd has only given the competencies. And it is up to us how we would define the learning objectives. With modules right now given by the division or the regional offices, the learning objectives are already laid out. But as teachers, we could realistically set the expectations, their goals for this corresponding learning given their situation. Teaching them resilience and grit would require us teachers to also understand where they are coming from in terms of their learning. Do they have access to technology? If they are in printed module, how can we provide that on-demand consultation? How could we provide that wellness and health activity, that support system? And the next one, these are classroom strategies for success. So what would be our classroom strategies? We have to manage emotions, okay? Being open to one's feeling and able to modulate them. Our students would have to be aware of their strengths and weaknesses. They have to know their talents and their strong abilities. They have to continually pursue the course of action despite difficulties, failure, and opposition. This is your persistent determination. And of course, they have to actively persevere with a powerful and clear intention through their passion-driven focus. And effectively and imaginatively, especially allocating resources in difficult situations. They have also to have that personal sense of control, subjective to the awareness of their initiating, executing, and managing their own action. They have to have that ability to reach out to others, pursuing connections and assistance from others if needed, and finding solutions to difficult and complex issues. And of course, bouncing back, quickly recovering after setbacks from facing significant stress, adversity, and trauma. These strategies should be embedded in how we prepare our lessons, on how we deliver our lessons, on how we assess their learnings. Grit and resilience could be strategies for success. And right now, we define success as heightened learning through the pandemic. But please also remember that we could pursue our students to learn grit and resilience even if they are not cognizant of the rewards afterwards or whatever compensation they would have. And that is if we are truly given them that opportunity to practice grit and resilience. Here are some of the teaching strategies, okay? Okay. Number one, as teachers, we have to be present and finding joy in being with your students. Nako, in this particular webinars, I have many students on the call from NTC. I'm handling the Advanced Technologies for Education and the dissertation seminar, which is prelude to dissertation writing. This could be a very hard courses, but you could ask my students. Even when I was in UP, I have a banner there that says the happiest place on earth or in the whole wide universe is the classroom. And as teachers, we should find time, be present, and find joy every time we would engage with our students, no matter the situation is. Biglang nawala sa call, pagbalik, papagalitan ba? Hindi maka-open ng camera, papagalitan ba? We would spend the 30 minutes lecturing. Could you imagine that? Our millennials and Gen Z, you lecturing for 30 minutes just like what I'm doing right now. Maybe some of you are even sleepy, or some of you are in ML or in Axis, right? Because remember, our young learners have to be very cooperative. They have to be very collaborative. They have to be very networked. Number two, nurture that caring and supportive relationship with you and the student and among themselves. In my classes, we always have breakout rooms so that everyone would know everyone. They would always have, collaborative projects. So novice learners can learn from master learners or senior learners. And if there are, instances in which you would need that extra nurturing care, I provide that. But my students are very clarified as to what are the expectations of the classes and what would be needed of them and all the corresponding policy. But it should not stop you from providing that nurturing, caring, supportive relationship. Also, as teachers, we should offer guidance and high expectation for students' potential growth. Diba? Offer them guidance when needed. If they are asking for help, we always have a clarification on what are your expectations. And of course, you have to set high expectation. Sometimes we are doing our, pedagogical activities, keeping in mind that students would have no connectivity or slow connectivity, I will do this. But how about those who could participate? How about those who could outperform the others? So you should really balance those who are novice teachers, novice students, and those who are high-level students. Hindi po pwede na the expectations are You keep it low so that everyone would be on board. How about the others? And of course, ayan, always present opportunities for expression and critical thinking discussions. Wow. As teachers, I want you to invite also that grit and resilient mind and also the teacher agency that your students could challenge you. I always think of my students, please make sure that what I'm saying is true. You could always challenge my position. One time nga, I put there an information. Ayan. That a chatbot, an artificial intelligence, a couple of years ago, was patterned after a Filipino child to catch pedophile across Europe. They were in awe because we are talking about technology. And then after the discussion, I asked them, do you think it's true? So that's only the time they would Google whether it's true or not. So it sets the expectations on how we would conduct the class. Always check your facts. Always provide that critical thinking discourse. Always provide that critical expression. And of course, build a community of resilient, agile, gritty students inside your classroom. Provide an opportunity to collaborate, to help with one another, and of course, encourage them to ask questions. Reinforce and recognize their expression of feelings. Ako sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, if you do have any concerns and clarifications, you could always email me, ask me for a meeting. We could talk anything under the sun under a very respectful environment. Hindi mo ko kailangang sigawan, hindi kita kailangang sigawan. But I encourage your feelings. I encourage your difficulties. And teach them, ayan, to see failures as expression or avenues for growth. As I've mentioned, this is the growth mindset that all teachers and students, as well as the whole Philippines, should embrace. That if there is something wrong, we have to look at it as opportunities for growth, not blame gaming. Kasalanan niya, siya may kasalanan, hindi mo to ginawa. Let's look at it empirically, based on evidences, and see this as an opportunity for growth. Dapat nakita natin to first and foremost among teachers, especially during these trying times. We have to invite the teacher agency that yes, that student agency, that yes, I am at fault. Could you help me make this an opportunity for growth? And of course, help them recognize and change their negative and self-defeating behaviors. This is part of that grit and resiliency strategy. Sometimes students, I don't know, I'm too tired. We always hear this also among our teachers. I'm too tired. I don't want to, I don't want to train anymore. I will retire in 2 years. Kayo na lang, mga bata, etc., etc. But as teachers, we recognize them and we should put processes on how to change that defeatist negative behavior. And of course, help them to cope with stress. Our students now, including us, are, I think, on the brink of stress. No, we are all stressed. So it's really time to talk about what are your stress factors, how can we manage it, how can we minimize it, and put forth strategies on how we could affect you to be a great and resilient student or teacher. Okay? I will end by saying that more than ever, we have to teach our students and maybe ourselves to be grittier and more resilient. That no matter what, no amount of failure, faltering, and struggle, we could always persist and adapt on our own with our love, on their own with our love and support. Because collaboration and that social network is also very, very important. We Filipinos are known to be a resilient nation, di ba? A gritty nation, very adaptive and flexible. Before, no amount of bagyo, lindol, political storm, etc., could dampen that happiness in the hearts of the Filipino. And more than ever, we should reinforce that to our students and also to ourselves. Ngulit-muli ang pagpupugay namin sa gurong Pilipino. Sumasaludo kami sa lahat-lahat ng paghihirap at pagmamalasakit na ipinapakita nyo para ipagpatuloy natin ang edukasyon. Sana may natutunan kayo na pwede nyong gamitin sa loob ng classroom nyo at maging sa inyong mga sarili. Muli, maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang gurong Pilipino, mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Dr. Ferdy, Dr. Pitagan. I just want to scroll down our comments, no? If you look at our comments, feeling ko hindi nakita ni Dr. Pitagan, super ganda ng talk niya eh. We have a lot of very good insights coming in from our participants, of course, coming in from you also. So let's start with Lizelle, for example. Napakaganda po na to teach them to accept failures and introduce it to them as an opportunity of growth. The same from Marife Albegas. She says, see failures as avenues for growth and not blame gaming. Ayan, we're so into that right now, blame gaming, right? Ian Palma also says, treat students equally by giving everyone a chance to be part of the discussion. Let learners always be excited to learn. That's from Fredelin Bactol Nacario. All right. So let me start, Dr. Pitagan. I have some thoughts here, some questions actually. And we encourage also our dear participants to send in their comments and in their thoughts. Of course, be compassionate to our students, things like that by Vendia Rodriguez. We love to hear your questions and your thoughts because this is the only time that Dr. Pitagan is with us, right?
Jim, maybe we could ask everyone, what would be your hashtag regarding regarding our learning for today? What would be your hashtag, everyone? Hashtag love myself more? Or
so,
sige nga, what would be your hashtag?
That's a very good activity. While we wait, Dr. Pitagan, I have a question here. We mentioned about failures, and right now, because we're doing distance learning, there has been a question of assessment. Sabi ng mga teachers, kasi yung mga ibang parents, sobrang yung intervention, kulang na lang sila na yung mag-recite. I know some teachers told me, you see parents telling their kids what to recite. You see kids during online classes, nainis na sila kasi pinupush sila ng mga parents sila mag-decide. For printed modules, we know that there are parents answering their modules. And one of their main reasons is that because they want the kids to get perfect scores. Do you know that aim for perfection? But you pointed out about failure. So how do we reconcile that? What's your message to our parents who would love to ensure that dapat top 1 ka, rank 1 ka, dapat perfect. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, ranking and grading ranking or grading, these are what we're doing before the pandemic. But remember that everything that we are doing before are being challenged in order to continue education. Even the brick and mortar school, even the building of the school is being challenged now. Do we still need to build buildings? Because apparently, online learning would be an empirical part of how we would continue education even after the pandemic. So the processes and practices that we've been doing before are now being questioned. Syempre, parents would always be parents. Most of you are also parents. You want your children to learn. And our mindset that their learning is encapsulated in a particular grade, 198, right? Those could be good measures, but we all know as teachers that learning go beyond that numerical coefficient, right? So as teachers, and maybe there are administrators here, the onboarding of parents, how they could be facilitators, co-moderators, co-teacher in your online or printed module learning is empirical. There should be a holistic orientation on what would be the role of parents on this corresponding modality. Of course, the parents would be, we ask the help of the parents because we cannot be on 24/7. If there are 30 students or handling 3 sections or 5 sections, 1 week would not be more enough for on-demand consultation. But parents should be clarified what should be their role. Of course, they could teach their students, their kids. Of course, they could, participate, diba? Especially for the lower grades, right? But they have to know also their limitations. That they are not helping their students learn by doing the module themselves or by answering the question. But mind you, Dean, there are very, very progressive schools who have factored in parents in grading. Say, for example, in NTC, at our K to 12, we are asking parents to grade their children in terms of assignment, in terms of submission, because we are treating them as co-moderators and co-facilitators. And you are surprised. Sometimes the grade of the teacher is lower than the grade of the parents. Okay lang yon kasi syempre ganun. But there are parents who are on point on grading their children. Parang pareho nga yung grading ng teacher at ng parent. And there are parents who have graded their children lower than the grades of the teachers. See? So, because our parents are very well aware of what would be their duties, responsibilities on how to act as parents. And of course, yung kasing agency, the word agency, whether it's student agency, leader agency, parent agency, a big part of that is that growth mindset. That growth mindset that we are looking at failures as temporary setbacks and opportunities for growth. So that we have to sit down, look at the evidences, let's plan again, plan ahead so that these failures could be avoided. Hindi kasi po pwedeng hindi mag-fail at certain point. Nobody is perfect. The last time we checked, si Jesus lang ang perfect, di ba? So lahat tayo, including from the president up to the bottom, is meant to fail at a certain point. But what is important is how you accept and do something about that failure. Okay? Sabihin niyo yan sa principal niyo. Pero hindi naman pwede naman laging failure. Eh kasi sabi ni Dr. Pitagan, pwedeng mag-failure. So, yun lagi yung excuse, failure. Kasi if you're not learning from that failure, something is also wrong. Okay? Thank you, Jim. Nako.
I think that's a wonderful answer. Yeah, wonderful answer by Dr. Pitagan. when we speak of failure, growth mindset, it doesn't mean that, accepting na lang na ganun na lang, right? I think one of the reasons there is how do we bounce back, like what Mr. Dr. Pitagan mentioned a while ago. How do we learn? Can we learn from our mistake? Because a teacher, if your student keeps on repeating the same mistake and you're not also aware of that, you also need to check yourself as a teacher. You might want to change strategy now. The same with school leaders, right? If the teacher are repeating the mistake and not knowing about it, as a school leader, you need to change your strategy as a school leader in terms of teacher empowerment. So thank you, Dr. Pitagan. We have a one question also here in terms of the things that we say to us, to students right now. Since you mentioned about growth mindset, failure, and most of the time, I remember when I was young, 20 days ago. Just kidding. One of the things that I would always remember is that people would always say that the words that you use actually matter. Words hurt. So what can you say about the kind of words that we should be using for our students if we want them to accept that failure is actually an essential part of learning, or even growth?
Yes, very, very good. No? Remember that we as teachers are considered gods by our students, right? Especially those students who are in lower grades, di ba? Diyos nga yung tingin ng bata, model yung tingin ng bata sa teachers, di ba? Mas susundin ng bata yung sinabi ng teacher kaysa sa sinabi ng parents, ng guardian, or kahit sino pa man. So, ang number one influencer niya talaga would be the teacher, di ba? Pero, well, may mga research naman nagsasabi kasi na home is really the number one influencer. But teacher is one of the on the top of influencer doon sa how we nurture and culture the type of new breed of Filipinos, di ba? So we have to be really, really conscious and cautious of the things we say to our students, di ba? So noong panahon namin, ako lalabas yung age ko, may mga kami noon may nangungurot na teacher. May namamalong teacher, hindi na pwede yon, di ba? Saka dati naman dapat hindi pwede yon, di ba? Our students should be clarified of our expectations of them, of their expectations to themselves. Dapat alam nyo ng bata, and how as teacher we could provide that support, that guidance, that love, di ba? In order to achieve that. Tsaka ito yung isang naaalala ko. Pag yung teacher dati challenge mo sa classroom, galit. I remember when I was at the university, parang teacher ko isa sa mga deans dati. So, ganyan. Tapos ako, may pagka-photographic memory ako. Ewan ko ba, ang pagka sa ulo ko doon sa may not, kunyari, love is not blind. Ganon, no? So when Dean was discussing and she said, love is blind, sabi ko, bingo. Then I raised my hand and said, no, Dean, according to the book, love is not blind. Sabi niya, no, it's love is blind according to the book. And then I said, I get the book, no, Dean, according to page something, paragraph 3 here, love is blind. So the teacher is correct. I'm wrong. Right? So I don't know bakit tumimo sa isip ko may word na not. So we were laughing. My classmates were teasing me. At the end of the quarter, I got the highest grade. Because when nakasalubong ko si Dean, ang sabi niya bakit mataas yung grade mo? Because you were not afraid to challenge me and pinakita mo pa talaga yung libro. Ibig sabihin noon, nag-aaral ka. That's the growth mindset of a teacher. You should not be afraid that your students will challenge you. Why? in the era of digital world, the information available to you as teachers, available to me as a leader, is also available to our students. And because they are more tech savvy than we do, they could have access more information than we do. So yung teacher, we don't have the monopoly anymore of information, of knowledge. Kung sinabi sa iyo ng estudyante, ay ma'am, kasi ngayon ang ginagamit APA, 8th edition na. Yan po APA, 2nd edition pa yung ginagamit mo o 7th edition na po ngayon. Nagalit ka? O bakit ganyan? Diba? Learn from that. So as teachers, we should be able to accept challenges even inside the classroom. And our students, sabi ko nga sa inyo, sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, challenge me, challenge my information. You have to be very critical of everything I say. Diba? That is part of you being resilient and gritty. Okay?
Yeah. I do remember some teachers would do this. Class, do you have a question? Tapos if there's a question, teacher gets mad. And teacher will say, here's the question. You did not understand?
Okay, pag hindi niya alam yung sagot, sasabihin niya, I'll get back to you on that. Diba? Hindi niya.
Words that we use matter. And of course, I think even the things that they see, we're not in the face-to-face, we're not learning on foot. But even the environment, it's especially with people who are promoting growth mindset, especially with people who are promoting growth mindset, and yet they only celebrate the rank 1, top 1. Kawawa naman yung mga most improved students, right? Sa basketball nga, like what I've said, there's a most improved player. Why not celebrate them inside the classroom, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Progressive countries are not ranking, diba? They are looking at accomplishments, not ranking, diba? Tsaka ito, Jim, sasabihin ko din, we have to be very, very conscious as teachers, even outside of the online sphere. Lagi kong sinasabi, teachers are role models. According to research, that's the number one role model. That's the number one qualities that teacher should possess. Not content expert or instructional designer, but role model. So if you find it very, very hard to be a role model, I think you have to get out of the teaching profession. Kung teacher ka nga, tapos pag may patay doon sa baryo mo, nakikita nandun ka sa sakla ng mga estudyante mo. O kaya pag Sabado at Linggo, nakikita nakahubad ka, nag-iinom ka doon sa sari-sari store sa kalsada. Di ba? Di ba? Or nag-aaway kayo mag-asawa, doon kayo nagsasabi ng mga negative words na rinig ng buong kapitbahay at ng buong barangay. Di ba? So what type of picture of a teacher would that be? So if you cannot, I'm not blameless. Marami din akong ginawang kahiyaya sa buhay ko, but I'm very, very conscious and cautious that I am a teacher. Yun. So we have to be very, very mindful of that. Okay?
And let's make it technology related.
Yes.
The things that we post in social media, the things that we share, minsan ng mga teachers pa, I love the life in the province because it's a small community, so you know each other. Oh my goodness, teachers, you need to be careful kasi minsan yung mga nagpaparinggan ngayon, social na sila, nasa social media na sila.
Yes.
And our student actually gets to read everything. So let's be careful with that. Dr. Pitagan, we have a question here from Patty Margaret Halores Katabay, and she says, Dr. Pitagan, ano po ang maipapayo ninyo sa mga teachers? Paano i-address ang mga magulang na pag alam nila na di pumasa ang kanilang mga anak, sasabihin, Ma'am, baka pwede niyo po bigyan ang anak ko ng special project para po makapasa. Ano ba kasi ang konsepto ng special project? At yun ang last resource ng mga magulang.
Oo. Ah, ano ba yan?
Medyo
During the
iba-iba.
oo,
Medyo
medyo
iba-iba ng
oo,
special
iba-iba
project.
oo, iba yung inaano na ano. During this pandemic, ang dami nating narinig na ganyan. Academic easing, 'di ba? Special accommodation, etc., etc. I think it would be up to the institution to decide on that. But I think generally, we should really, really provide extended opportunities
Yeah.
to our students during this pandemic. Remember that especially in the public schools, access to technology, to bandwidth, to computers is very, very varied among our students. According to research, parang 20 to 30% lang ng public school students would have that access. So, given these barriers plus the poverty and health and wellness concern, we should really extend opportunities. That opportunities could mean additional projects, additional tutoring hours, special accommodations. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. As long as the objective of those activities and processes are very, very clear to the student, to the parent, to the teachers, to the whole community. Hindi po pwedeng, kunwari, there would be, mataas pa yung bayad sa tuition pag nag-special project. That's a no-no for me, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung special or yung ilalagay na teacher, yung paboritong teacher, noong principal, kahit naman hindi niya expertise yung tutorial, nangyayari yan on the ground. That's a no-no for me.
Yeah.
But providing that extended opportunity so that everyone would be on board. Ang laki na nga nung learning loss natin. Ang laki na nga ng learning loss natin during the pandemic. And these extended opportunities are more than welcome as long as it is clarified accordingly. Yes.
You know,
Sabi ni Bernard, relate kami.
You know, I want to push further what Mr. Pitagan's mentioned about special project. You know, I know that some, even overseas, like big universities overseas, they don't have honor systems right now because of the pandemic. I work in a school where we have removed, actually, I work in a school where we removed honor system even before the pandemic in kinder to grade 4, where we try to follow what Japan has been doing because we don't put competition right in front of the brain of the students. And I know some schools that gives retakes. My school give retakes in exams right now. Of course, there are certain limitations to the retakes, but we believe that a student could improve. So it's not unlimited retakes. But when they do the retake, parents know that they have failed in the first place. They're being given a second chance. So yun nga, I want to challenge our teachers right now. You are all saying failure is very important. How comfortable are you in giving second chances, even in the assessment? Di ba? Pinag-uusapan natin yung special project. How comfortable are you? So maybe something that you want to think about, our dear teachers, send us your thoughts. Since we're talking about special projects, what about second chances in assessments? How comfortable are you there? So while we wait for their thoughts, Dr. Pitagan, I just want to share, this has been shared earlier. We called this out. This was shared early in your session, so it was buried in the comments. Manolita Ramas Oligo says, during around 2 p.m. when you were starting, what gives teachers the courage to keep going when they want to give up is the people around them. Knowing that someone had their back is enough to get us past the seemingly impossible. She also mentioned telling teachers this is what we signed up for, we go. Teachers are bound to follow directives from their leader, but saying this is what we signed up for, we have no choice. The mission is scrapped for those whose eyes are open or something like that. I think one of the things that we need to recognize is when is the time for the teacher to say, oh, stop muna kasi nahihirapan na rin kami.
Oo. Ayun.
Diba?
Ako, that's a very valid question, especially.
Yeah.
Yes, that's especially now. Kasi dati, no, Pag pumasok tayo ng 8 a.m., uwi tayo ng 5 p.m., and that's about it. We will cook at home, we would play with the dogs or with our children, we would watch Netflix, etc., etc., and then the next day after. But right now, it is as if we are 24/7, no? Kami nga minsan talagang walang tulugan, especially during the early onslaught of the pandemic. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Especially the leadership. But right now, we are 17 to 18 months into the pandemic. Sinasabi ko sa inyo, sinasabi ko din to sa sarili ko habang sinasabi ko to sa inyo, it's you have to take care of yourself. We have to take care of ourselves. Self-love. We know our limitations. We know our challenges. So we really have to take care of ourselves. It's not bad to say no. It's not bad to say no. If you can't do it, tell your principal, tell your head, I'm having anxiety attacks. I want to sleep early. It's okay. It's okay. Huwag lang kayong matulog ng isang buwan, 'di ba? Na wala na kayong gagawin, 'di ba? It's okay to take a break. It's okay to just relax. It's okay. Kasi if you're going to take on a job half-heartedly, most probably the output is not good. That's number one, 'di ba? Pag napipilitan lang. Number two, kinuha nyo yung job dahil sa tingin nyo kailangan walang gagawa. Nagawa nyo nga yung job, nagkasakit naman kayo. 'Di ba? Anong mangyayari din doon sa responsibility na 'yon at anong mangyayari sa inyo? 'Di ba? Kasi as if now, pwede ka lang magpahinga pag may sakit ka na. Oh, #very true, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Pag inuubo ka lang, nilalagnat ka na, magpapaalam ka, saka ka lang papayagan, 'di ba? But it's not healthy. We have to take care of ourselves. We could say no. That's part of grit and resilience. Part nga yun ng knowing your strength and weaknesses. If you don't know how to do the job, you could always ask for help. Ma'am, kukunin ko to, bibigyan mo ako ng ka-team, bigyan mo ako ng kagrupo, paano namin to gagawin? Diba? Ma'am, hindi ko to kayang mag-isa. It's okay. It's okay. And leaders who are also gritty and resilient and have that growth mindset would understand. Should understand where you are coming from. 'Di ba? Ngayon nga ang sinasabi natin, kasi yung learning modalities and how we would continue education, government and national agencies around the world are still figuring it out. Wala pa po tayo, ako lagi ko naririnig ng new normal. Sinasabi ko nga, wala pa tayo sa new normal. Ito ba yung gusto nyong new normal? Nakaganito tayo? We are just trying to figure out what would be that new normal. We are still in the pandemic. We are trying to figure out what are the best practices, how we would continue education. Okay? And because of that, we are also trying to configure ourselves. Kasi hindi naman tayo nang sanay. Kami ni Jin, EdTech specialist kami. Tagal-tagal na namin sinasabi, mag-EdTech na kayo, mag-technology na kayo, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, wala. Tapos ngayon bigla, lahat. Di ba? lahat ngayon naka-technology. Di ba? Sabi ko nga, that's one of the beauty that brought about the pandemic. Sorry pero yun yung na-accelerate by leaps and bounds yung acceptance and implementation of educational technology. Pero alam nyo, although we are configuring out how we would continue education, I think the Philippines has at least put on some best practices, innovative practices on how we would continue. The next batch of research you would see would be about health and wellness of all stakeholders. Yun na yung susunod dati kasi ang daming articles, di ba, about learning modality, flexible, high flex, blended, etc., etc. If you're going to look at research, educational research on the pandemic, the world now is focusing on how this is affecting our humanness, our essence of being human, not only that, but also our health and wellness. And most of them are saying that this should be the priority. Ang sabi nga ni Jim, doon sa kanyang libro, Maslow Before Blooms. Diba? Maslow Before Blooms. Diba? The hierarchy of needs before cognitive gains. O, di ba? May promotion talaga.
Yeah. Thank you for promoting my book, Dr. Pitagan. It's not yet out. It's still announced. Dr. Pitagan, this is a no from Ian Palma. This is hugot. No is the shortest word, but the hardest word to say.
Ay,
Yes.
tama ka, Ian. Napakaganda niyan. That's very, very true. Especially in the culture of the Filipino. Hindi lang naman tayo yan eh. Yung the Asian culture is we usually don't say no, especially sa Filipino. Kahit na hindi kaya, sige, okay lang. Just for but we have to learn how to say no in the most appropriate time. Ha? Hindi naman yung no para lang maka-no. 'Di ba? O hindi lang no dahil tinatamad ka. Oo.
Prudent is the word. Okay,
Oo, tama. Very good, very good.
I do remember, Dr. Pitagan, I love what you mentioned about taking care of yourself, especially for your sake. Even in face-to-face, it's not just right now. I also lead a department. And I remember one time, pumasok yung teacher, yung isang teacher, pumasok siya, alam namin na may sakit siya. So what I did was, I asked her, go to the school clinic. You have to make sure that they will let you work right now. If they say no, then you have to go home and rest, because I would rather have you resting than having you now and then making your sickness worse. It will be harder for our department. I think as school leaders, administrators also, it's also important that we make decisions for the teachers. Let's not just think about na siguro mahirapan kami or walang magsasab or whatever. I think there should be every teacher has the right to say no and say, I need to rest. May sick leave naman lahat tayo. Gamitin nyo din
Oo, tama. Ako nga lagi ko din sinasabi yan sa sarili ko, pero
sacrifice.
Oo, sacrifice. Oo.
Dr. Pitagan, there's another question here. Or is that already? We always talk about compassion. So from Joanna, compassion in the teaching process, but how should we define compassion in the process? There is another question by Joanna also. How can we educate parents that failure is all right and making a child retake a grade level is not shameful event in the life of a child? So let's talk about compassion. Let's qualify this. What are ways in showing compassion inside the classroom, or maybe right in remote teaching right now?
Oo. Yung compassion kasi is not only being sympathetic but also empathetic, 'di ba? With the conditions of your students, 'di ba? Tayo naman yung pinagdadaanan ng mga estudyante natin ay pinagdadaanan din natin bilang teachers, bilang leaders ngayon. So showing compassion would be knowing the telltale signs whether your students are in the brink of stress, depression, or knowing when to ask the right question to solicit a very on-point answer on how they are now, di ba? So make sure that you connect with your student at that level. Yung parang hindi lang teacher-student, but also that comfortable, friendly atmosphere where your student could really say how they feel, what they feel. That's part of being compassionate. Diba? So hindi yung blanket na, kamusta kayo, etc., etc. If you see that students are having difficulties, take time to talk to that student one-on-one. Diba? That's part of being compassionate. And kung nakikita nyo, there are alarming signs, diba? Bad behavior, bad languages, diba? Na hindi naman dati, should alert proper authorities. Diba? The guidance office and the parents. Laging kasama yung parents. And make intervention very, very discreetly. Diba? Hindi pwedeng naka-broadcast yung sa klase pag pinapagalitan yung estudyante. O kakausapin niyo yung estudyante, especially if they are minors, na walang kasamang guardian or any parent. Dapat kasama lagi may guardian or may caregiver na kasama yung bata if there should be some intervention. At yung
Yeah.
failure, at yung, ngayon nga parang feeling ko, especially in private schools, na dapat, naku, paano ko ba ito sasabihin, na dapat ginagawa din ng public schools, very on point and continuous yung feedback mechanism.
Yeah.
Yung mga private schools na nagko-consult sa amin or sa akin, on the 4th week, may report card na kaagad kami. Sino ba yung batang kulang ang submission? Sino ba yung batang nag-failure, laging failure doon sa, what you call this, sa aming skills building? Sino ba yung batang hindi may absences na, etc., etc. So very early on, may intervention kaagad. Kakausapin yung bata, kakausapin yung parent, kasama. So laging ganun, very, very early dapat yung monitoring, yung access to success of our students. Para nga hindi na dumating doon sa point na mag-uulit pa yung bata o mag-fail pa. Parang sa dulo na yung intervention. Dapat very, very early yung intervention na yon. Yung reporting na yon, yung monitoring na yon.
Doc Ferdy, medyo yun yung kailangan natin. I think that's the one that we need to change right now. The feedback is only given pag malapit na yung test or pag malapit na yung bigayan ng card. Teachers need to make sure that we change that. It's very difficult. Put yourself in the position of the child. It's like you don't have any more option. You don't have any more space to improve yourself. So please, teachers, compassion, Dr. Ferdy, I do remember this, and I always remind teachers about this. Even the way you speak, yung sabi ni Dr. Ferdy a while ago, like what he said, yung mga teachers, it's okay that we feel angry sometimes, especially whether face-to-face online, but what makes a teacher better? I know I experienced some teachers who would not shame, hindi pinapahiya ang bata sa klase. Pero alam ko na si teacher, kakausapin na yung bata after the class, one-on-one. Even the language, like I think Dr. Pitagan has mentioned a while ago, the language that we use. You are 40 your students are 40 in your class. And then may isa, dalawang bata, pinahiya mo, the words that you use, compassion din yun eh. To be careful, and of course, sabi nga sa Bible, di ba, if you want to give feedback, don't do it in public. Do it in private with the person. So things like that, those are ways of showing compassion. And so...
At saka teachers, your students would have to know you not only as a teacher, as a person. Kasi ako, kung napapansin nyo, ako unang klase pa lang sinasabi ko na sa kanila, malakas ang boses ko kasi kabitenyo ako. Tsaka para akong laging galit. Pero hindi ako galit. Kung napapansin nyo, di ba, kung magsalita ako, para akong laging gigil. Sabi ko, this is how I execute my, kasi hindi ko talaga kayang katulad ni Jim na malumanay. Baka atakihin ako sa puso. And I'm always very, very honest with my students, especially pag kinikritik yung project nila. Kaya nga sabi nila, sir, pagpapasok kami sa klase mo, meron kaming halong kaba tsaka excitement. Excitement maturo, pag kinakabahan kami na baka tawagin mo kami, hindi namin alam yung isasagot. But that's also part of me teaching them that they really have to study, they have to prepare, they have to be gritty, they have to be resilient. And so far, wala pa namang estudyante na nag-call out sa akin na ayaw ko nung ginagawa mo, ayaw ko nung inaano mo. At modesty aside, I'm always at the top 5 of the professors in the whole institution. So it always gives me honor and pressure na what I'm doing is good. So pag nawala na ako doon, baka magtatanong na ako, ay, baka sindak na lang ang natira, hindi na yung pag-aaral. So we have to be very, very self-conscious also as a teacher. Okay? On how we conduct ourselves. So kasi yung mga bata kasi natin, they form this model of us, as si Doc Pitagan ganito, as si Sir Jim ganyan, as may ganun yung mga bata natin. And I think they would accept us for who we are as long as we do it in a friendly, accommodating, respectful, and very honest very honest learning environment. Yung honesty naman, hindi naman kailangan magpahiya eh. Di ba?
Exactly.
Hindi mo naman,
Yes.
hindi na, kung magkritik mo yung project, hindi naman kailangan ipahiya yung bata. Di ba? You could always do that in a very honest, on point, on the spot manner.
Sabi nga ni Professor Edgar Bolaño, praise in public, reprimand in private. With witness, walang witness. It's just you and your confidence, trust within each other. Segue, Janet Mamu Victorio, Tagpros, it's our third Saturday. Salute, and to our today's speakers, hats off. You know, in Tagpros, we bring the best. Just to tell you, we bring the best, and we want to just speak the truth and hopefully try to help each other right now. A lot of challenges, Dr. Pitagan, logistical, structural challenges that really puts, make it harder for our teachers to do all the things that we're saying.
These challenges, especially technical, these are not only institutional, these are national. National challenges, provision for your computers and laptops, for bandwidth, etc., etc. This is a national dilemma that we are all facing.
Joanna has been one of our most active participants. Speaking of accountability, sir, kasi nasa top kayo, so Dr. Pitagan, nasa top ka daw. Di ba dapat teachers should also be able to give anonymous grades and comments for
very good. Joanna, ano yan ha? Dapat yung assessment, we call it a 360 assessment. So kung ikaw, iikot ka, you should be able to provide an honest self-evaluation of yourself. Your peers should be able to do that. Okay. Then your leader should be able to do that, and your students. So ikaw. And this should also be true for your leaders. Dapat yung leaders nyo, whether principal yan, dapat kahit sino pa yan, should be able to do the self-assessment and should be able, dapat yung boss niya, nag-a-assess din sa kanya, one up, at yung one down, dapat nag-a-assess din sa kanya. So yung principal, dapat ina-assess siya ng teachers, ng vice principal, ng master teachers, lahat. Siyempre, hindi estudyante kasi hindi naman siya nagtuturo. And that assessment could be anonymous, should be anonymous. It's part of the Data Privacy Act na kailangan, you should be able, they should give you that decision, whether to put your name or not. But yung assessment should be 360 degrees. Hindi pwedeng in-assess kayo ng principal, siya hindi nyo i-assess. Hindi pwede yun. That's part now, kung napapansin nyo, sa MPS, what you call that in public, di ba you have your assessment mechanism in public schools? Di ba? From supervisors to teachers. Dapat yung mga teachers in public school, pero kung private school, your institution should provide the 360 assessment.
Well said, Dr. Pitagan. From Emily De Jesus, good afternoon. Do we have the right to complain black and white, refraining from the memorandum subject to be moved, to move teachers and classroom with different assignments without consulting us and without basis regarding the performance? I think this, I don't know if we can answer this, Dr. Pitagan. It's okay if we can't answer this. I'm personally not very well versed with the policy set, especially in DepEd. So I'm not quite sure, but your thoughts about this?
Ang DepEd kasi meron silang, they have put numbers as well as text messaging, messages where you could log your complaints. So I think it would take some time kasi syempre ang dami. But from the parents, from the students, from the teachers, yourself, you could log complaint. Now, I don't, as long as it's valid, pag nag-complain, pag nag-log kasi kayo ng complaint regarding a person of authority, you just don't write letters. You provide proof of evidences.
Evidence.
Dapat may evidence in order for that to be actionable. Kasi kung magbibigay lang kayo ng letter without any evidence, baka ma-bury lang. At least kung may evidence na agad, If you're saying your performance, if you're saying you are not vertically aligned with the new assignment, if you're saying this, if you're saying that, present an evidence. Para mas madali, kahit kami sa leadership, pag may nag-complain sa amin na bata or na teacher, lagi namin tinatanong, evidence. Give us a screenshot of your conversation. Give us any document that would prove your allegation. Okay?
Yeah, at ang mga bata natin ngayon, dear teachers, they're so good in screenshotting.
Yes, you have to be very careful.
Yeah, in taking videos of everything that is happening because that's their expertise. If you need some help in taking evidence, ask the help of your young students or maybe your kids. I think we can have one more question.
Yes.
From Rizali Bueno, Dr. Pitagan. We talk about agency, grit, resilience, of course, and then we talk about saying no. So Rizali says, paano kami makapagsasabi ng no, sir? Kahit may sakit ka, kailangan mong ipasa ang ipinapagawang report dahil hindi makonsolidate ng grade chairman nyo ang report. Paano, sir?
Oo.
Medyo masakit sa dibdib yung tanong. Kasi it's very personal, but with these kinds of situations, what could be not the specific answer, but maybe best things to consider?
Not the specific answer, no. The school should put processes for efficiency and effectivity. Lagi kong paulit-ulit na sinasabi yan. Doon ulit sa mga private schools na nag-consult sa amin, ang ginagawa namin sa grade sheet, shared yung grade sheet nyo sa sa master teacher at saka doon sa supervisor. So they could view whether you are also constantly inputting yung skill building or yung quizzes or yung grades sa mini-task. So kita yon ng supervisor tsaka master teacher. Precisely one of the reason, kasi kung on point yung pag-update ni teacher noong details of the grade, kahit mawala siya at the end, the master teacher could easily compute that. I get the point of the school leaders, bakit ginagawang collaborative yung grading system, di ba? Kasi nga they want to put processes ng efficiency kasi gusto niya tulong-tulong, that's number one. And number two, you have that responsibility not only to your grade but of the grade of others. Kasi alam mo, pag na-late ka, pati yung iba malilate. So wala silang clearance. Baka may kinalaman din to sa sweldo. Yon. So I fully understand that. Pero kung may sakit ka, kailangan naiintindihan ng supervisor na may sakit ka at hindi mo mape-perform yon. But again, part of identifying the problem would be finding a solution. Okay, may sakit ka, hindi ka makaka-compute ng grade, ano ang pwedeng gawin? Sir, hindi ko pa po kasi na-check yung final project, nagkasakit na ako. O sino ang pwedeng tumulong? Sino ang pwedeng mag-check? Habang hindi ka pa makaka-perform. Nasaan yung grade sheet mo na i-continue namin ang pag-i-input ng grade. It would not stop doon sa may sakit ako, hindi ako makakapasa. Part of that grit and resiliency would be finding solution. Okay, sige, nag-file ka ng leave 1 week. Okay, sige. Pero ano ang pwede nating gawin while you are resting in order to accomplish that particular work stream? That's part of being gritty and resilient. Okay? At dapat naiintindihan yon. Kaya nga may layers of management, di ba? Kung hindi maka-perform yung teacher, dapat si master teacher should be able to do it or allocate a person or a group to help you out. That's part of solution finding. Okay?
You know, I just want to share this because this is a reality. I'm a department chair, so my responsibility is to submit grades to the principal's office. And it's a reality na may magkakasakit. You know, here's one of the things that we do. That's why our assessments, the same yan in the grade level, hindi according to the like of the teacher. And we use rubrics. So that if, for example, Dr. Pitagan is absent and then I'm the department chair, I can say, oh, your partner, Dr. Santos, can you check the work? I will check also as a department chair. No worries na baka hindi naturo ni Dr. Pitagan. No worries kasi the assessments are common, the goals are common, the objectives are common, the rubrics are common, and then we understand the same thing. I think that's one thing that we can do, especially if those who are in those opportunities. Naranasan ko na yun na nagkasakit yung teacher ko, or lilipad na siya, sasama na siya sa grupo namin na papunta sa China, 'di ba? Exchange students. Yung mga project kakapasa pa lang. Ako, department chair, okay lang sa akin mag-check. Kasi hindi rin ako maki-clear kung wala yung ayun. So ako mismo, so baka school leaders, tama yung sinabi ni Dr. Pitagan's correct. You should have a protocol. What would happen if someone cannot check, right? And siguro if we have school leaders out there, don't be afraid to dip yourself to the dirty part of teaching again. That's part of it. Ako nga namimiss ko pag-check. Nag-e-enjoy ako actually sa pag-check, and it's not something that I'm scared of. One more thing kasi may nagsabi dito na hinihintay kasi hindi pa kasi nagsasubmit lahat. Hindi nyo naman kasi kailangang hintayin lahat. Simulan nyo nang mag-check kung, kung sino yung nagpasa. Sa atin kasi medyo takot tayo na may butal tayong nakikita, may bungi-bungi, parang magkakasakit na tayo, may stress na tayo. You know, baka your student has also another reason. He's also sick. Right? You cannot wait forever. So the whole army can go. You just have to wait for that. So a lot structural. I think that is a very good suggestion from Dr. Pitagan. Of course, he's an expert on the structures of and the happenings processes in a school. So we're very lucky to have heard from Dr. Pitagan. Dr. Pitagan, any last word for our teachers, school leaders who are here?
Ako ang katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, ang lagi kong sinasabi, ang pagsaludo at pasasalamat sa gurong Pilipino, sa leader na Pilipino sa edukasyon. Bilang isa sa inyo, alam ko ang hirap, pagod, walang tulog, ang sakit. Ilang beses na rin ako nagkasakit, nagka-COVID scare pa ako. So, talagang alam na alam ko kung ano ang pinagdadaanan natin individually and as a nation. At kung ano man ang meron ang Pilipinas, kasi I fully believe isa ang Pilipinas sa may magandang solusyon sa pagpapatuloy ng edukasyon. Although tayo lang yung nag-iisang bansa pa na wala pang some sort of face-to-face. Pero sumasaludo ako sa inyong lahat. Sa kabila ng lahat ng kakulangan, sa kabila ng lahat ng kahinaan, lahat ng gulo, sa Pilipinas, ang teachers talagang Pilipino ang isa sa pinakadakila at pinakamagaling sa buong mundo. Naniniwala, naiiyak pa daw ako, di ba? Naniniwala ako dyan. Kaya mabuhay po tayong lahat, mabuhay po talaga ang gurong Pilipino. At lalong-lalong mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Ayan. At mabuhay din si Dr. Ferdy. Nabanggit niya kanina kasi dapat last week si Dr. Ferdy. So, kahit si Dr. Ferdy, sabi din namin, kailangan health first, Dr. Ferdy.
Oo, tama. Buti na lang negative ako, Jim.
So, medyo natakot din po kami, but like what we've said, you know, we're walking the talk. If we're talking about agency, resilience, health, di ba? Health first. So, but we're very much happy because we spent more than an hour of discussion and sharing with Dr. Pitagan. So, Dr. Pitagan, this ends our open forum. Thank you so much and stay safe. And we hope to have you back again for a very deep and chill and exciting discussion with you. So please take care of yourself and stay safe. Goodbye, Dr. Pitagan.
Mag-iingat po tayong lahat. Mag-iingat po. Paalam.
Ayan. So that ends our open forum, and Dr. Pitagan has been a very helpful person for all of us to know more about agency, resilience, and grit. If you have any further questions, you may forward them to us at Tagpro Education, Tagpro's Children Facebook page, and we'll try our best to give you the answers you seek from our speakers. All right, and also I want to take this opportunity, if you've noticed, every session we've been saying this, and we're so proud of our participants. And you dear participants have also been sharing your thoughts. You're sharing your insights, and we're very happy because every time you share your insights, every time you share your questions, that actually fuels our discussion, and we're very happy that you have been very consistent. This is one of the reasons why we keep on thinking of better series for everyone. If you've noticed, we're not just teaching skills, we're also talking about important issues right now. And thank you, dear participants. I know that you're not just here for the certificate, because we have consistent participants here since June pa ata. So thank you so much for coming over here. Now, tell us about your thought of today's event in the evaluation form. So please, the link is presented on the screen as well as on the comment section. Answering the evaluation form is necessary for claiming e-certificates and for getting an entry to the GCash raffle draw. Again, we are giving you 1 week to answer the evaluation form and to watch this replay. 1 week rule, and please make sure that you exercise the virtue of patience. Especially right now, we've been getting so many evaluations because we've been our community is getting bigger and bigger. So that means more more certificates for us to process. So we ask for your patience as the team behind this series is actually working hard to make sure that your certificates are sent earlier. So thank you so much, and we hope that you are able to do the evaluation form. That ends today's webinar workshop. I hope to see you again at our webinar workshop. Actually, I just want to share this. If the team could show our poster next week, I have an announcement, and I want you to listen. Don't stop listening to me yet. Next week, we will be shifting from afternoon to morning. So for next week, we will be having a 9 to 11 session. Why? Because we will be having a panel. That panel includes four amazing speakers, 4 amazing educators and school leaders who will be helping us understand deeper what it means to thrive together. So I don't know if we can show our poster right now, but just to give you a heads up, for next week, we will be welcoming Mr. Mark Reed, Global Teacher Prize finalist from Vancouver, Canada. That's why we're shifting our schedule to accommodate Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed is a close friend of mine. He's been also working with the Department of Education, and he will be joining us for next week. Of course, we have Mr. Gino Luwayon. Mr. Gino Luwayon is the manager, also a school leader, by the way, of Everest School of Manila. He's the manager of Teacher Education Network. Dr. Venus Alvarado, he's an education supervisor, education program supervisor, a Global Teacher Prize finalist, and award-winning teacher from DepEd Surigao City. So she'll be joining us also. And of course, backed by popular demand, one of your favorite speakers from last week, Mrs. Jessica Demihilio. So we will continue our discussion. So next week, please expect a longer open forum, a longer discussion time for everyone. So please, this will be a great open forum for everyone. But please do remember, we're not anymore doing that in the afternoon next week. Instead, we're doing it early, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Same day, Saturday, but in the morning. So yeah, again, for those who are waiting for the evaluation form, it's at www.tagpros.org. The link there is the link to the evaluation form is there. One thing that I want to announce also is that Tagpros Children is actually has a sister organization or company. It's called Tagpro Education. And we are looking for partner teachers who would want to put their content, who would want to teach their passion online and connect with others connect with students around the world and in the country. Of course, there will be some aspect of monetizing your passion. So we are building our own learning management system, our own education marketplace where you, dear teachers, could actually take part. So if we could show, we have a survey that will be posted that will ask you to that will ask everyone to especially teachers, if you would want to partner with us. So we're looking for our partner teachers who will be trained to become online teachers. So if you're very good in doing in cooking, if you're very good in teaching English, if you're very good in teaching musical instruments, or maybe dance or exercise or whatever thing that you are passionate about, we have the platform for you. So we are creating this education marketplace. Please go to this link, bit.ly Tagpro's teacher partner. We are looking for teachers who are willing to be trained to become online teachers, and connect with students around the world, in the country, and be able to share your passion. And of course, you will earn. I think that's the most important thing that you want to say. You will earn from this platform every time you teach your students in the future. So please take note. We are ready. We are working on our Tagpro's Teacher Partnership Program to make sure that we support also our dear teachers as they continue to work on your passion. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure to have you again for the third time this August, and we are very much excited to welcome you back on Saturday next week. It's early, 9 a.m. in the morning, not in the afternoon. Please remember, it's 9 a.m. and we will be having a great panel discussion with 4 amazing educators here in the country and also around the world. Again, I'm Jim, and thank you for joining us today. Stay safe and God bless.
As we transition to the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and Tagpro's learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because Tagpros believes that education is a right all children deserve.
When the pandemic was officially announced and the whole country was in a lockdown, we were thinking, how are we going to end the school year?
How can St. Peter's College of Vermont continue on with its mission to provide holistic quality education?
I was really grasping for answers and talking to experts, consulting to parents and all. It was really a terrible moment.
It also didn't help that the pandemic started in the middle of the academic year, and so we had to act fast.
Others have suggested that maybe we can temporarily close our school for a while, but some of us have this kind of hope that we can just carry on.
We want to bring our education in a different level, and we know that technology is the answer.
By using virtual platforms, we were able to continue this year with a partnership with Globe through Brightspace.
When we got to Brightspace, we were able to continue a consistent quality of education. And when that arrived, we were now able to have a stable class. We were able to submit activities freely and at our own pace.
It has really helped our teachers in order to deliver their modules, their content to our students.
The ease of sharing content, real-time assessment, and structured learning process in the system of Brightspace made the learning life of every member of our community exciting and better.
Through Brightspace, we were able to see that yes, we can restore some semblance of normal life with the aid of technology.
This pandemic brought a really huge change which pushed us to innovate.
One of the best investments you can make is Brightspace for you to use to deliver quality education to your student.